the beginning of an unlikely friendship. The sun rose gently over a quiet village surrounded by green fields and tall trees. The morning air was soft, carrying the smell of fresh grass and warm soil. Children were already awake, running to the open field where animals played. But among all the animals, two stood out: a small baby goat with bright eyes and a little duck with soft yellow feathers. The goat was curious and always running, jumping, testing the world with brave little steps. The duck was calm but clever, always watching with wide eyes, always listening to every sound around her. They were different in every way, yet destiny was quietly preparing to bring them together. The hook. A sudden cry that morning, the baby goat heard something strange near the stream. It was not the sound of wind or birds. It was a cry, small, sharp, and filled with fear. His heart jumped. Without waiting, he rushed through the grass, his tiny hooves hitting the ground with quick rhythm. Beside the stream, the goat saw a duckling stuck between some reeds. The duckling's feathers were wet, and the water current was pulling her. She tried to flap her wings, but she was too small, too weak. The goat bleated loudly, calling for help, but no one came. He knew he could not just stand there. With one brave push, the goat stepped into the shallow water. His hooves slipped, but he kept going. He bit the reeds gently, pulling them apart until the duckling was free. The little duck looked up at him with wide eyes, shivering but alive. It was the first time they met, and it was the beginning of something no one in the village could have imagined. The bond grows. The children named the goat Milo and the duck Lina. Soon, everyone noticed how they were always together. If Lina waddled near the pond, Milo followed. If Milo jumped onto a small rock, Lina quacked loudly as if cheering him on. But their friendship was not just about play. They were learning from each other. Milo taught Lina to be brave, to explore the open field without fear. Lina taught Milo to be gentle, to look and listen before rushing into things. Farmers, shepherds, and children watched with smiles. Some even said, "Look, even a goat and a duck know how to care for each other. Maybe we humans should learn from them." Conflict. The storm arrives one evening. The sky grew dark. Clouds rolled in, heavy and angry. The wind shook the trees and thunder roared. The animals ran to their shelters. But Lina, frightened by the sudden noise, ran toward the stream instead of away from it. The rain poured and the stream swelled into a rushing river. Milo saw her and panicked. Without thinking, he ran after her, bleating as loud as he could. The ground was slippery, and the rain made everything dangerous. Lina stood frozen at the edge, the water pulling closer. Milo pushed her back, using his little horns, guiding her toward a safe tree. They stayed there, close together, while the storm raged around them. Lina's feathers were wet, Milo's fur was soaked, but their hearts beat steady because they were not alone. Emotional depth. Kindness noticed. When the storm passed, the villagers found them under the tree, a baby goat protecting a tiny duck. The sight melted every heart. An old farmer said softly, "Loyalty is not about size or strength. It is about courage and care. These two little ones just taught us that." The children clapped, and the animals slowly returned to the fields. But something had changed. From that day on, Milo and Lina were no longer just animals in the village. They were symbols of friendship, loyalty, and surprising bravery, the bond tested by fear. Morning after the storm, the village looked peaceful again. The storm had passed, and the air smelled fresh with wet soil and green leaves. Birds returned to the trees, singing like nothing had ever gone wrong. But for Milo, the baby goat, and Lina the duck, something had changed forever. They had stood together in the storm. They had survived, and now, without even knowing it, their hearts carried a promise: to never leave each other, no matter what came next. Milo followed Lina everywhere. If she waddled to the pond, he was behind her. If he jumped onto a stone, she quacked like she was cheering for him. Villagers laughed softly whenever they saw them together. "Look at them," the children said. "They are like family now." But peace never lasts forever. Tests always come, sometimes from the outside world, sometimes from fear inside us. And for Milo and Lina, the next test was already waiting. The farmer's new guards one afternoon, the farmer brought two big dogs into the field. They were strong, with thick fur and sharp eyes. Their job was to guard the animals from wild foxes at night. The villagers clapped and said, "Now the animals will be safe." But Milo felt uneasy. The dogs barked loudly, their deep voices echoing across the meadow. Lina hid behind Milo, pressing her small body against his legs. The dogs weren't cruel. They were curious. They sniffed and circled, testing the animals. Goats stepped back, ducks fluttered into the water. But Milo stayed. His tiny horns pointed forward, his bleat sharp as if to say, "Don't come near her." Lina quacked, her wings spread just a little, not to fight, but to show she was not alone. The chase suddenly, one of the dogs barked and ran toward them. Milo leapt sideways, leading it away from Lina. His little hooves struck the ground fast and light. The other dog circled back toward Lina. Her heart pounded. She froze at first. Fear held her wings still, but before the dog reached her, Milo spun around, putting himself between them. He stamped the ground, lowered his horns, and bleated with all his strength. Villagers shouted and rushed forward. "Stop!" the farmer called, pulling the dogs back. The field grew quiet again. Lina pressed against Milo's side, trembling. He stood proudly, though his legs shook. An old farmer said softly, "Loyalty is not about size. This little goat has the heart of a lion." Whispers of courage that night. Children whispered about what they had seen. "Did you see how Milo protected Lina?" one asked. "And how Lina never ran away, even when she was scared?" another added. The old farmer nodded. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to stay when your heart tells you to run. Milo and Lina didn't understand the words, but they felt the meaning in the way villagers now looked at them, with respect. The shadow in the forest days turned into weeks. The bond between Milo and Lina grew stronger. They explored the meadow, played near the stream, and rested under the same tree each evening. But in the forest beyond the village, hunger was stirring. A fox, thin and desperate, had been pushed closer by the storm that destroyed his hunting grounds. His nose caught the scent of ducks, goats, and chickens. His eyes glowed with hunger. He watched at night, waiting for the right moment. The night of fear, the moon was high. The air was silent except for the soft ripple of the pond. Lina was half asleep, her head tucked under her wing. Milo lay nearby, ears twitching at every sound. Then came the rustle. Leaves moved, twigs snapped, two glowing eyes appeared from the shadows. Milo rose instantly, bleating loudly. Ducks scattered into the water. Goats ran toward the barn. But Lina was slow to wake. The fox leapt. Milo rushed forward, shoving her aside just in time. Claws scraped his back, leaving burning lines of pain. He stamped the ground, lowered his horns, and faced the fox head-on. The fox growled, circling. He was bigger, sharper, faster. But Milo refused to move. Every bleat was a call for help, every step a promise. "I will not let her be taken." Rescue in the dark. The dogs barked from their pen, pulling against their ropes. Villagers grabbed torches and ran. Together, humans and dogs chased the fox back into the trees. Milo staggered, blood on his back. Lina pressed her head against him, quacking softly, her whole body shaking. Children cried at the sight. The farmer knelt, lifting Milo gently and carrying him to the barn. Lina waddled close, refusing to leave him. All night she sat by him, feathers brushing his fur as if whispering, "I am here. I will not leave you." Kindness spreads, the story spread fast. People from nearby villages came to see them. "A baby goat protecting a duck," they said. "What a strange and beautiful bond." One traveler whispered, "In my town, people fight over small things. But here, even animals show loyalty greater than ours." Another said, "Look at the duck. She is small, but she stays when others run. And the goat, though weak, fights like a lion when love is at risk." Their bond became more than friendship. It became a lesson, a reminder that loyalty and kindness can rise even in the smallest hearts. The festival of hearts healing days after the night of the fox attack. The barn became Milo's safe place. His back was scratched, but the farmer cleaned his wounds carefully every day. Lina never left him. She quacked softly when he winced, and she flapped her wings gently as if to fan him with comfort. The villagers often peeked inside. They saw a small duck watching over a baby goat like a nurse, and a goat smiling weakly at her as if to say, "Thank you, I am safe because of you." Children whispered, "They are more than friends. They are like family now." But life in a village always moved forward. Harvest season was coming, and with it, the great autumn festival. This year, the villagers wanted to honor Milo and Lina during the celebration. They had become symbols of courage and loyalty. The festival begins, the festival day arrived. Colorful flags waved from the trees. Tables were set with food, music played, and laughter filled the air. Families from nearby villages came too, excited to see the famous goat and duck who had become legends of loyalty. The farmer placed a garland of wildflowers gently around Milo's neck. Children made a tiny crown of leaves for Lina. Everyone clapped as the two stepped forward. Milo walked proudly, his fur shining in the sunlight. Lina waddled beside him, her feathers glowing gold. "Look at them," the villager said. "They remind us that kindness does not need words. It only needs a heart that chooses loyalty." But not all eyes in the crowd were kind. From the forest's edge, the fox watched. His hunger had only grown. And now, with so many animals gathered, his chance had come. The danger returns. The music grew louder. Drums echoed. Laughter rose. No one noticed the shadow slipping closer, silent as smoke. The fox darted into the festival, scattering chickens and startling goats. Children screamed. The dogs barked. But the fox was fast, aiming for the weakest prey. He lunged toward Lina. Milo leapt in front of her, his small body trembling but unshaken. "Not her," his bleat seemed to say. The fox snarled, his teeth bared. Milo lowered his horns. The crowd froze, hearts pounding. The moment of courage for a second, the world held its breath. The fox and the goat stood face to face, predator against prey. Lina quacked, loud and sharp, standing right beside Milo instead of running. And then something unexpected happened. The two dogs, who once frightened Milo and Lina, charged forward. This time they were not testing, not chasing. They were protecting. Together they barked and snapped, driving the fox back. Villagers raised torches, shouting, clapping, stamping their feet. The fox, surrounded by light and noise, fled into the forest, never to return. The band recognized the festival erupted with cheers. Children hugged Milo and Lina. The dogs wagged their tails and stood proudly, no longer strangers but guardians of the same family. The old farmer raised his voice. "Today we saw something rare. A goat stood fearless, a duck stayed loyal, and even our dogs showed that courage is not about being the biggest. It is about protecting what matters most." He turned to the crowd. "Let us learn from them. Loyalty, kindness, and respect are the true harvest we should celebrate." The villagers nodded, some with tears in their eyes. The closing scene. That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in gold and red, Milo and Lina sat under their favorite tree. The garland of flowers still rested around Milo's neck. The little crown of leaves still sat on Lina's head. The field was quiet again, but their story had become part of the village forever. No one would forget the baby goat who fought storms, dogs, and a fox to protect a tiny duck. And no one would forget the duck who never left his side, even when danger was near.